Welcome to the new episode of 360 Degree Talks podcast. Today we are welcoming Miss Diksha Vora, the content creator, a podcast host, and she owns a company called Digital by TV. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Shanaz. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. She helps brands tell their stories through their personal branding and their content. And today we are going to discuss about her personal journey, her career, and so far her journey on BNI as well. So let's start with the questions now. So you have started your journey when you were 27 years old. So that's very soon when it comes to everybody's career journey when they start. Usually in this age, people try to go for a job and secure their financial things and all. So how this idea came up that you want to come out of the comfort zone and start something when it comes to Dubai especially?
See, I'd say, Shanaz, necessity is the mother of invention. Okay. So I'll actually take it 2 years before. So I actually started my journey at the age of 25, my business journey. When I actually went to pursue my studies at the Cardiff University in UK, I was 25. And I actually incorporated my company on the 16th September 2016 with, I launched my website, dikshavora.com then. And for me, I was like, "Chalo, theek hai, let's just try and see what happens." And initially, at that point in time, we were just a pure content writing firm. We were not into social media, not into websites and so on. I thought, let me just test the waters for 1 year and see how we go. But then what truly happened was I got very busy with my university stuff and with my dissertations and all that. So once I completed, that is when I came back to Dubai, and then I took a year to, plan everything. What do I want to do and so on. And then finally in 2018, I got my license and then I started doing it. But I actually had an office space by Cardiff University.
Okay.
They gave me a mentor. They, helped me participate in some startup contests and competitions, etc. So they were very, very, very beneficial. Why did I decide to do my business was I come from a business family, and my father has always said that you can run a house with a job, but fortunes are only built on business. And I was like, okay, it's understandable. So I had a decent work experience. I'd been working from the age of 20. So I was like, at least 4-5 years I have worked. And I said, now let me, get into business and see. One good thing was that I had no commitments. Okay. I wasn't married. I don't have children, etc. So for me, it was like, when there's nothing to lose, you only have to gain. So I said, what is the worst that would happen? If business nahi kiya, doob gaya, kuch bhi hua, what is the worst that would happen? At least you won't have the regret in your life. Now, I could have done it and I didn't do it and so on. So I was like, okay, let's just try and see how we go about it. That's when I thought that, we should do this. Indeed, I did understand that there was a dearth of genuine content creation in Dubai, because people were charging a lot of money for writing basic content.
True.
And then, when you would study it all and say, "Arey nahi, this is not making sense." I had come from Cardiff. I was a BBC trained journalist. I understand, what good content is, how does it sell, how do you engage readers and so on. The kind of stuff that I was reading on people's websites and blogs and so on, I was like, you're paying 1 dirham per word for this. Let me give you better services at a cheaper rate and let's take it from there. So that's where I started my business journey.
Okay, so it's you have taken a risk. So if you succeed, or you will take it as a lesson, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because one thing I don't like having in my life is regrets. Touch wood, God's been very kind. I don't regret any single thing in my life, personally or professionally.
Yeah.
Whatever has happened for good. So, and I was like, 10 years down the line,
Okay.
I don't want to sit and think, I could have done it and I didn't do it. So yeah, I really in fact encourage everyone, whoever can, start business young, because the first 4-5 years are really troublesome. That is when your business needs 10 hours of you every single day. You have to struggle, put in the time, effort, money, intelligence, and so on to steer it through. That time, the more you push it forward in your life, the more difficult it gets with commitments and age.
True.
You know? So, I mean, once you cross your 35 and 40s, you have your backache, knee problems, this and that, and then you have children, you have a husband and stuff, and then that is the reason why, you will not see many successful women entrepreneurs
Yeah.
who start their business after 35, 40. Because then their priorities change.
Settled.
They're settled. They're like, okay, and then the society also expects something out of them. And then they'll say, no, you're married, you should take care of your husband, you should take care of your children, tuitions, activities, and this and that. In between, her business becomes a hobby or a side thing.
Side thing.
So which she can only practice once her children go to school and before her husband comes for lunch.
True.
So then she'll say, I only have that 4-hour window. Business growth cannot be done in a 4-hour window. You have to give it that time. So I'd say whoever can, who actually really want to, it's honestly a very dirty world. But if you really want to, you want to get your hands dirty, you want to succeed, start early.
Though the thing is, it's a honest thing, but most of them don't say it on mainly on camera, I guess, because we all hide about the ugly part. We always want to play in a good side, just encourage and things and all. But there's a true fact: when you are into business, you have to fully jump, or you have to settle down at the home and do this.
Correct.
But you can't be doing both and expect something big to happen over there.
No.
That's nice.
And I'll tell you why. Because Shehnaz, what happens is, and I know people hate me for saying this, and perhaps people consider me an advocate for this as well. That I'll say this. It's a very personal thing. It's like, oh, you know what? You're not married. That is why you have so much time, and that's why you're saying this and so on. It's an escape route for you. You're so much into work because there's nothing else to do. It's a life choice.
True. That's a life choice. Yeah.
I'm not into business because I didn't get married.
Yeah.
I'm into business because I truly wanted to do this. When I want to get married, when I wish to get married, I can get married. That is obviously on my charts and so on. If at all I find the right people and so on, that would be it. But the thing is that if you're expecting one person to run a successful family life and be struggling with business, wherein there's marketing,
Yeah.
there's business development, there's HR, there's financial, there's accounts, there's hiring, recruitment, things, business coaching, consultations, payment issues, etc. In that stress, how can you nurture something else? It's honestly so much better to settle down with your business, and then once that's on autopilot, you have time to nurture something else.
True.
So, you divide your time. No one shoe fits all. What I have done is not something that, I would recommend everyone else to do. But yes, of course, this is what I have done. And for me, I don't think so. Now I'm at this stage where, my work is somehow stable. So if now I expect, I have to, take up any responsibility, etc. Now I can still think about it.
Okay.
For someone who's spending 10 hours at work, how can you expect the other person to be like, Durga Mata thodi hai yaar, itne haath thodi hai, uske paas wo ye bhi karegi, wo bhi karegi. And we're not TV serial ladies also, who'll just wake up with makeup on and do all the things perfect. It doesn't really happen.
That really doesn't happen. And when you said like it's a life choice, it's about an individual. For example, I'm married.
Yeah.
I have a children. I have child for 9 years old and things like that. So, but I am equally there and equally I am here as well. But this is not a hobby for me. This is something like I'm full time on it.
Correct.
And when you are in the mindset, of course, the person who gonna stay with you as a life partner will understand and respect this part, because they understand this thing like without this, this person can't.
Oh, yes, they won't survive, you know.
Yeah.
So they won't.
You can't be happy. Then
Yeah.
they will let you do. Okay, you are happy.
Absolutely.
You want to take this risk and tension and all this scaling and everything. You want to take it. Okay, go ahead. Because when we are happy doing all this stuff, they are missing us. Yeah, of course, these things are all happening. But it's not only that. If you are married, unmarried, it's not about that. It's a life choice. Even if you get married, of course, inshallah, you will be making the business more better than this.
See, I'll tell you, Shahnaz, ultimately, it is all about being happy.
True.
Whatever makes you happy.
Happy, that is fine.
And happiness की ना कोई एक definition नहीं है. And this is where everything around us is wrong. Because people have perceived a certain
Pattern, correct.
that, you know, you need to find happiness here.
Yeah,
You need to find happiness there. I'm like, hell no.
yeah.
Your happiness could be very different from mine, and that doesn't make you wrong or me right or me wrong and you right. So, different strokes for different folks. Who can manage?
Yeah.
Great. Who cannot manage? Great. Doesn't matter. Do what makes you happy, and you rightly said it, because you can't pour water out of an empty cup.
Correct.
Ultimately, if you are sitting here and you are jubilant, you are happy, you're going out, motivating people, you sleep peacefully, that's all that you need in life. Or kya chahiye? What else is the purpose of life anyway?
Correct. That was a very good perspective. I'm glad you said it on camera.
Thank you.
And moving on to when we are discussing about content creation and things and all. Of course, you started way more back when this is not a main topic in social media, which these days it's content creation and things and all very familiar. Everybody wants it. But the time when you started, it was not that was everybody's priority. Maybe someone is writing a book or journalism and things and all. These places as content creation used to play a lot of role. So now when it comes to AI and things and all, these tools and things and all, so how this now have become like a part of you, or how you are aligning with the AI tools, or what type of challenges you are facing as a content creator competing with as of AI?
See, I'll tell you what, those times were good, these times are better.
Okay.
Let's put it this way, and I'll explain, I'll add more perspective. See, business is always challenging, okay? And the beauty of this material world is when you try to go solve one problem, you come across a bigger problem, okay? So as long as there are problems to solve, there's scope for business, okay? So there's enough scope, enough work. Let's put it this way. Now, indeed, back then, there was a need for content writers, manual content writing, etc. And obviously, things really grew. During COVID, the entire world realized the requirement of social media and the dependency on digital media. And obviously, business grew, etc. Now, what is happening with AI is that it has become such a fantastic tool for us in terms of language assistance. Now, as long as we can hire people who are creative, at least we don't need to judge them on their language skill, okay? Which gives so many people a wonderful opportunity, especially from countries and cities where English is not taught to them in the finest way. Let's compare. Let's go back home in India, okay? How many students that are coming out have absolutely perfect English and are absolutely perfectly creative? These two things don't go along very well.
Correct.
And the problem in those times was that you have to hire somebody whose written, spoken English is perfect. It is proper.
Yeah.
Now, it gives me an opportunity to hire someone who knows what content would work and how to, and the ideas, etc. And as long as you put the right prompt on ChatGPT, it will put it in the right frame and it will give it to you. So that's how I perceive it.
Yeah.
I feel there is more opportunity for people now because language is not a hindrance anymore. Second, you are saving on so much time. Your productivity has increased. The level of services you can offer has also increased. Now with AI coming in, previously, For the same amount of effort, you have to hire 4-5 people. Now you can hire less, produce more. Again, an opportunity for entrepreneurs to save on money and to give some relief to their clients as well in terms of the cash that they have to shell out. Previously, marketing budgets used to be 100,000, 200,000, and
correct.
so on and so. Now the same budgets has significantly reduced, and why not? Because if you're reducing a budget here, you're increasing budgets elsewhere. There's an opportunity to go promote people on influencer marketing. You can do paid ads. You can do so much more. So, like I said, there's a wonderful ecosystem that AI has created, where I think there's a genuine demand for people who know how to use AI. I was telling my colleague also, I said, you know what, we don't need a good content writer. We need someone who is AI specialist, who knows how to operate and how to get the best out of it. Look, let's talk about tools like Runway. Let's talk about tools like CapCut and so on. Manual video editing through Adobe Premiere Pro. One reel would easily take you 3 hours, and so editing. Now it takes 40-50 minutes. Aren't we happy? Why? Because time is money.
Time is
If in a shorter span, I can serve more people, I can create more content, I can make them visible for a lot, more times, I'll be achieving my result faster, right? If in a week I can do 2 posts for someone, now with these, I can do 3 or 4 posts for someone. Why not? He was getting better visibility. He is going to be retaining me further. I'm going to be, generating better cash in the long run. So I think I operate from a sense of abundance. I always feel that there's enough and more in the world to do, provided just push your mind to it. And it's so, ChatGPT is, in fact, it also acts as a business coach, as a therapist, has everything. You can write down there, listen, I've had a breakup. How do I get over it? And ChatGPT will do this. It was this wonderful thing. I swear I have to tell you this. I was sad before I opened ChatGPT a few days ago. I was like, okay, I'm feeling a bit low. After I opened ChatGPT, I realized I have childhood trauma. I am into depression, and it told me a lot of other things, and I was like, okay, the only way I can feel happy is I shut it down and I go for a walk. I will be fine. So I'm just saying, there are pros and cons of both things, and I'm like, shit, yaar, I seriously have so much childhood trauma. This is quite, it's getting into me, and I'm like, shit, yaar, it's like, पहले तो मैं दुखी था, तो मुझे suicide करने का कर रहा है, तो it's that kind. So yeah, there's a pros and cons of everything. This is just on a very light note, but yes, AI is definitely your companion now. This can help you achieve bigger, better things.
So you were into content creation and things and all. So how this journey have taken to this level of you to become a podcast host? So what was the idea behind that? So when you started?
See, I'll come back to the first thing that I said. Necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, and second is, I am someone who straight away believes in this: jo bikta hai wo becho, sell what sells. Okay, I am not attached to any form of business operation.
Okay,
I believe in adaptability. So for me, it was more like, by God's immense grace, by the time we got into, podcasting and so on, I had a decent number of people who did believe me to, somehow being a thought leader and influencing. I do a lot of workshops and I run communities and so on. So that is when I actually got, one call and saying, Diksha, you know what? Now that you're actually setting a podcast for other people, we want you to feature us on your podcast. And I was like, my podcast? And then there's like, yeah, you create one. And I don't think much, Shahnaz. This is my thing. For me, if there's an idea, the idea from the day it's come onto my table has to be resolved within 24 hours. Okay, so and I love trying new things.
Okay.
My business coach tells me try 10 things, 8 will fail, 2 will take you far up. I'm like, okay, chalo, let's do it. What's the harm? Studio is ours, time is ours, and so on. How does it matter? Somebody wants to pay, let's do it. So I did the first podcast. I enjoyed. I enjoy talking to the other person, getting to know about their journey and their stuff. Then I did another one, and then I realized that genuinely there's so much potential. You can really help people share their stories, build thought leadership, give them a platform, and of course, earn money while doing that. So for me, podcasting didn't come from a space of creativity. It came from a space of making more revenue, being very honest. Like I said, for me, most of my business decisions are based on, listen, if this is going to be bringing me money and if this is a product market fit, let's do it. So that's how it happened. But now I enjoy it. I look forward to doing podcasts and so on. It's been a very enlightening journey.
So how meeting new people, listening to the journey during podcast and things and all transformed you as a business owner or in your personal life? So I want to know about that.
See, you learn from every individual who comes on your podcast, okay? Or, people you meet. Because the world is so dynamic and everyone has their own unique way to succeed. So you have to be that swan who understands how to separate milk from water. As long as you can do that, you go on with life and you tread the right path. When I would meet people, and sometimes people would say, this is how we run our business, or this we implement automations, and this is how you can automate your services, and what to automate first, what to automate last. Acquiring businesses, when did they start acquiring businesses, how did they acquire, how did they lose, how did they gain, how did they build an empire? It would be so motivating, and I would often come back home and I would actually Google, I'm like, how to build a vision board, how to acquire companies, how to grow 10x, and how to do all of that stuff that you would previously feel that's inaccessible to you. See, we all look at Ambani, we all look at Shah Rukh Khan, etc. And one day we're like, Arey yaar, I also want to become an Ambani. But imagine, this is too very high flying, but imagine if Ambani comes and sits in front of you, the amount of information that he can actually give you of how he started, how he grew, and so on. Every person who actually comes on the podcast is actually someone who's going to be taking you one step forward in your business journey. So for me, that has helped me so much. I love meeting new people. I love learning from them. My basic thing when I'm sitting on a podcast is I just keep looking at them and I'm like, what's one thing that I can catch, I can implement, and so yeah, that's what I do.
That's good. So content is everywhere, but not every content will work for everything.
Correct.
Or everywhere. Okay. So what do you think, which type of content will work for a good business to make sure that their reach about their voice will go in a more prominent way?
Two things only. It's a litmus test. Savability and shareability.
Okay.
Whenever you're producing any content, understand who's your target market. Okay, this is where a lot of businesses go wrong because they want views. They say, we need 100,000 views, 200,000 views, 40,000, 50,000, etc. They don't understand that the views need to come from their target audience.
Right.
I can dance on camera. I can get 20,000 views. But those 20,000 people are not people who will buy my services.
True.
They are scrollers. For them, I'm nothing. I'm one amongst many other people. So A is stop being obsessed over views and start thinking about how are you addressing your target audience. Then there's this other thing that I ask all my clients to do, which is something that's mandatory. Every client that I onboard, I do this with them as the first step. That is the 80-20 principle. I ask them, put down your last 10 paying clients and don't tell me from your head. Check out your invoices and tell me who have you built last 10. Because sometimes what happens is, Shehnaz, when there's more quantity, we tend to think that, those people are coming to us. But we don't actually put it down in terms of value and we don't do a comparison. sometimes very surprising results come out. Okay, so you realize who your 20% are, which are contributing to 80% of your business. This is a rule that applies everywhere. 20% of your clients are going to be bringing 80% of your business. Now that is what you do more of, because marketing has a very simple rule online. You market your niche, not your scope.
True.
Build a blue ocean, go do more of the 20%. Now in the 20%, target a age group, nationality, decision maker status, industries, etc. And put all of that down, and then talk about what are their main pain points, what are they searching for, and then start creating content thinking in their terms, what would help them save and share that particular video. So it has to be relatable. It has to be something where people are offering something that others don't know about, and it has to be quick. Okay, so at the end of the day, any content that works really well and that's actually going to be getting you leads, it's going to be getting you queries, is everything that people will want to save and share with other people. So if you're talking about yourself, I enjoy all these weird content pieces, and they're like, oh, I got up, I went to the washroom, I got ready, and so on. Now I'm going out, and this wonderful, very nice. But this is one of the many content pieces I am not interested in. I mean, that's not going to help me convert. Maybe out of 12 pieces in a month, 2 can be that. And you should do that. Personal branding, 40% content, 30% content can be personal branding, day stuff, spend a day in my life and all that. The others have to be stuff that is going to be making me come to you for your services. So yeah, 2 main things: savability, shareability. Khatam, that's it.
That's excellent. And so, in your business journey, since you started early and you have been BNI member so far for 6+ years, right?
6 years, yes.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. So now you are a member of BNI Givers and you are DC as well for some other chapters. And you are a prominent member of Daira BNI as well, and you have won an award this year. So we are so proud of these things, and I want to know how the BNI journey have made you in terms of personal as well as in your business been a very good part.
So I'll tell you what, Shahnaaz, BNI has been a very, very integral part of my personal journey and my business journey, because I started BNI when I was only 6 months old in business.
Okay.
And the thing is that I was really struggling to get clients.
Okay.
And I remember I used to cold message clients on LinkedIn and say that, I'm Diksha Vora, I can do content, I can write for you, and so on. And I would spend hours cold DMing people, and obviously sometimes I would get a response.
Yeah.
Majority I would not get a response. Okay.
They won't.
So there was this one lady who responded and said, you know what, listen, let's meet. Okay, I'll come to my office and let's meet. And then she introduced me to BNI, and that's how BNI happened. But then when I got into BNI, I realized, damn it, I have so many people that I can go meet, I can pitch my services to. So all of this that I'm talking about, see, I'll tell you, I met my business coach in BNI. Okay, who's Ibrahim Mohammed. From 2019 to 2021, I was with him.
Okay.
Then from 2023 to early 2025, I was with Simran Samtani. Both are in BNI. Fantastic people who really helped my business grow from level 0 to wherever it is now.
Okay.
And I got my staff from BNI, which was basically I connected with the BNI member in BNI Delhi and got her to recruit staff for me and so on. Even like all my requisitions are from BNI. Then my travel partners are from BNI. And my Zoho systems were done by a BNI member as well. So the thing is, it's just so easy to have everything on your fingertips. And also, when you have a community, it's a lot easier for you to go sell, get testimonials, get recommended, do more, and so on. So
So it's
That's-
like whatever you need it, you just fetch on BNI.
Absolutely.
You are able to get something from BNI. So this is what you're
Everything
doing.
is on BNI. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to go anywhere. A BNI is so it's like a cow. You just should know how to milk it, and you do it well. Now that indeed happened. God was very kind. One full year I spent in BNI as a regular member. I was very happy. BNI Continental was my chapter. And then next year, they were like, "Why don't you try the leadership role?" I said, "Great, chalo, let's do ST, and then let's become a president." Presidency was very nice, but at that point in time, very interestingly, I got in touch on a regular basis with Pankaj Gupta, who is the ED of
Yeah.
BNI Dera.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you some history. 2019, I actually joined BNI, and Pankaj was our DC at that point in time.
Okay.
So he was a director consultant of Continental, and we were all really, really scared of him. We were like, oh my goodness, he was like this terror man, who would come and so on. And he knows that too, okay?
Okay.
So, and he didn't like me.
Okay.
My chapter members tell me that they
Okay.
recommended me to be an ST, and he was like, no, she's too aggressive. I'm not going to be making her an ST. Destiny would have it, he went on to, launch other chapters. We had a DC change, and we were all chilled out. One fine day, when I was appointed as the president, I also realized Pankaj has bought the Dera region. So now he has
Okay.
bought only 2 chapters, which is Continental and Synergy.
Okay.
So he bought, and then he was the ED. And so, as a president, you have that proximity with him. And then Pankaj being Pankaj is on a growth spree. He's like, I want to launch the next chapter. So he launches Gladiators, etc. So we are a beautiful small family of 3. We're like, okay, Continental, Synergy, Gladiators, khatam. And so next thing, I want to launch United. I said, okay, do whatever you want to. And then he said, because I was done with the presidency role, he said, I want you to become an ambassador. So actually what happens, when he works with you,
Yeah.
he understands your caliber, and then he knows where to put you, because he's again building a team, right? So he needs the right people to lead from the top.
Yeah.
So by God's grace, what happened was, from a pool of 17, 18 chapters that we had at that point in time, the pool reduced to only 3 chapters.
Okay.
Okay, so it was easier to be selected. So then, he said, why want you to become an ambassador? I said, okay, let's do it. Then he said, I wanted to become the DC of United. Fine, let's do it. We won the turnaround chapter of the year for United that year as well. Okay, great. Next year, he said, I want you to take up Givers as the DC. I said, great. Then he wanted to launch Legends. I launched Legends with him. And then that's just how. So I think one thing led to another.
Okay.
I also strongly feel about this, and this I've said before also in some of our podcasts, is in this it's a very beautiful book. It's called Rao. It's on the life of Baji Rao. And in that, there's this nice conversation between Baji Rao and his mother, where he's planning to attack Mughals and so on. So his mother asks him, so he asks his mother, he's like, Mama, what can defeat strength? So his mother says, speed. If you have to defeat an elephant, you can't get anything that's stronger than an elephant. There's no animal there. But you can only defeat him if you ride on a horse. Because he can't compete with you in speed. You can't compete with him in strength, but then he can't compete with you in speed. Okay, so for me, I was a very, very small, young, chotu-sa business. If I had to get the kind of business that I wanted to, I either had to grow in terms of investment, building my team and this and that,
Yeah.
or I had to grow in terms of my influence. So I chose to grow in terms of my influence and to use that speed to grow up in my ladder, so where I am high enough for people to see me. So I don't have to become an elephant. I'd rather actually just increase my speed, become the horse and get there. That's exactly what I did.
That's really good. That's
So it
really
says
good.
ताकत को क्या हरा, ताकत को तेजी हराती है और तेजी को बुद्धि हराती है, which is your mind.
हाँ, हाँ.
You know, so your mind has to be very sharp in order to identify the right opportunities. And बुद्धि को क्या हराती है, आत्मा की शुद्धि. That's your intention should be very pure. Intention is not to actually defeat this person, you know, do anything wrong. No, intention is very pure. I need to be the best version of myself, you know, utilizing my full potential.
That's good. Actually, since as a new member, I'm just 7 months old in BNI, it was really good to know about the history of Dera and how you started and Pangaji started this. That's very good. So, my one question as a person, as a BNI member, so when someone is not sure about BNI, that how it gonna help their business, because some businesses are very niche and they're not sure that it can help them as a networking platform. So, what is the one answer you would like to say for such questions as a DC, as a member as well?
Don't think about it. Simple. I'll tell you what, Shehnaaz. Basic thing about, and this is life in general. My spiritual master says this: whatever you focus on expands. Very simple. You focus on a small dot, so much. You turn on, you start, you know, blinking your eyes, you'll see the dots everywhere. It's a study, everyone's tried it also. Okay. Same thing. If you're telling your mind, listen, BNI is not for me, I'm not going to get my clients from BNI. Fine. Okay, understandable. You're God? No. Who are we to judge the potential of anyone else sitting in our room? Okay, so that's one. Now, hunger beats talent and skills. Whoever is in your BNI chapter or in the BNI community, today we are 1,500 members.
Yeah.
1,500 businesses. Okay, I'll even take, there are some employees, etc. Maybe 100 or 200 are there. 1,300 minimum businesses are there. Okay. Now in these 1,300 businesses, what is the likelihood of you not meeting your target customers? And the idea is not to sell to them, it's to sell through them.
Through them. Yeah.
I'll tell you my story, which is I was into content writing services only, and my packages when I had started BNI were about 1,000 dirhams, 2,000, matlab maximum 2,000. I would not sell anything, you know, above that. Those are my basic packages and so on. And sometimes billing used to be for 500 dirhams, thoda page likh diya, article likh diya, ye sab. And I had a one-to-one with the printing company. And I was like, okay, you know, basic printing, yes, very well. Sure, so should anything come through, we'll let you know. Great. 2 months later, I got a call from the person who I had the one-to-one with, and they were like, listen, you know what? One of Donald Trump's former associates has come to us and he wants help with publishing his book. He is looking for a ghostwriter. Wouldn't you want to do that? And I was like, are you serious? I said, yes, of course I can do it. That was my first big ticket. I have ghostwritten a book called Trump Dossier, which is actually on how Donald Trump became the president. And it is actually by one of his very secret confidants called Sergey Millian. And so, I mean, that was like, I would have never on my own been able to crack that door to an associate of Donald Trump. मतलब मैं कुछ भी कर दिया यार. I know my potential also. Donald Trump के associate से कहाँ से जाके मिलोगे? So that's what I'm saying. Why are you limiting yourself? You have absolutely no clue. Who knows who? You do not know. Keep trying. You know, it is about when we sit to play Ludo. Do we think, I'm not going to be winning, let me not play the game? You keep rolling the dice till the 6 and the 1 come. You know, you have to, that is exactly what the BNI is. What does BNI do? You have to sell to people. You're not going to sell to God, you're going to sell to animals, right? Your people are your audience. BNI is bringing people on your pedestal every single week. If you can't sell to these people, who can you go out and sell to? So then if I am not able to get business through BNI, there's a problem with me. There's not a problem with the system. And the easiest thing to do is to blame the system. Because accepting blame for yourself is very, very difficult. For me, if I am a failure, it's a very difficult thing for me to accept. Yeah, Shehnaz, I've failed.
Correct.
But easiest is, अरे system ने काम किया मेरे लिए.
हाँ.
नहीं, it didn't work. I tried. My thing is, did you do the 80-20 rule? Did you meet those 20% people? You know, from all of BNI. If from 40 chapters, 1,500 members, you have not even been able to recover 5 times your fees, your membership fees, then you must be building clouds for animals. It is not humanly possible. Yeah, probability nahi hai. There's some, every individual is at least connected to 100 people. So it's 1,500 people connected to another 100 people. How is there a possibility you can't get business?
True.
It's pure maths. Kuch bhi nahi hai. It's just calculation. So for anyone who actually comes and says, listen, BNI is not for me, I'm like, perhaps you are not for BNI. BNI takes a mindset. It's a lifestyle. It is, you cannot, if you are not engineered for BNI, that's your problem. It's not it's a tried and tested system, been working for 37 plus years. Many have made millions, billions and trillions out of it. If it's not working for you, then you are the problem, the system is not the problem.
So when you say it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, yeah, absolutely. Because before starting BNI, I was only into my business and things and all. But after starting this, I'm fully into that. Because when I jump on something, I am fully into that. I don't do this half-cooked things. So when I have started this, so I'm more of into this these days. So the family identifies that I'm very much engaged. But because of that, of course, I'm getting good sum of business out of it. So yeah, it's a mindset as well as it's a lifestyle. That's the correct word to put up, I guess.
Correct. So you have to fit to the system. It's like, you know how a girl gets married into a family. The family does not change for the girl. The girl has to adjust for the family. Because they are already in the system.
The system is there. Yeah.
The system is there.
Yeah.
So getting into the family and saying, "Arey, family is not working for me," that's not how it works. You try your best and then you fail, I understand. But then accept the failure as, being, you're saying, in my 6 years, in whatever roles I've held, I've been involved with 4 to 5 chapters. This is my 5th chapter that I'm involved with now out of the 9 that we have in the Dera region. Not once have I come across one member for whom BNI has failed, who has done everything he could.
Correct.
But it didn't work for him. I have not come across one case study of that cause.
Okay.
That's where it is.
So if you put efforts, of course, it's the probability says that you will definitely get succeed out of it.
Yeah, it's the universe. Whatever you work hard towards, you attract.
Yeah.
So आज नहीं तो कल आ ही जाएगा ना. So patience is important, faith is important, and of course, consistency is important. And then again, just strategy is really, really important. Sometimes we are just throwing seeds in all directions. And I'm thinking, one day if the land is not fertile, what will happen? So you have to throw the seeds in fertile land, sow the seeds there, and then go on.
That's nice. So it's nice to know about BNI and about these things from you. That's very essential and useful, I guess. Especially when the new chapters get launched, these videos, of course, will give them a boost, I guess. So as a person, like being in the same industry, we both are almost in the same industry, and I know you like from last year. I've been following you and seeing your podcast since I was planning for my podcast to launch and things and all. So and after coming to BNI, I realized you are also a BNI member, and we met and things.
Yes.
And one thing actually pushed me to ask you to come for this podcast was constantly seeing your spiritual journey.
Okay, interesting.
Not the other content. Other content, I'm always impressed. That is a separate thing. But which made me push you that, yes, I want to talk to her.
Thank you.
Was that the spiritual thing? Because everybody claims but those things, when it comes to their social profiles, nobody shows over there as a specific thing. That's a journey, as a daily thing. So nobody shows that they are a part of this, and they don't showcase it over there. So as a successful business owner, as a female, and you are showing the spiritual things which you are involved into, which is like 2025, but you are still in the core of that. I really like that part of you. I really like that, because I am coming from a background of Brahmins. So I'm a Muslim, but I've been brought up in like a Brahmins like a household, and I've been fully brought up over there. So around like half of my life I was a vegetarian.
Sure.
And just now started the non-veg.
The non-veg.
After coming to Dubai and things
Yes,
like that.
yes.
So I'm very much towards the culture and that type of spirituality and things and all, which you see. I'm from Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
Over there also these things have been like
Very, very
carried in a
prominent.
very prominent thing. It's not just a optional thing. It's been a
Part of the culture.
Yes, it's part of day. It's a
Yeah.
part of day. It's every single day we talk about this, we'll learn this. I know all those mantras and whatever you do. So these many years, when the Diwali comes or any other occasions, Pongal or any other comes up, because in South it's daily something happens.
I know. There's
Yeah.
Vishu,
So
Pongal,
many
so many
holidays we
festivals.
used to get,
Yes.
and we used to talk about that in a daily thing.
Yes.
So after coming down to Dubai, I've started, I guess, missing after seeing your videos.
Areva. Oh,
That is okay. This is something like, I used to see like 12 years back. I used to see all these things. This 12 years I've not seen, where I am continuously in phone or in social media. That's where I'm fully into. Over there I'm not seeing this. So after seeing your videos, so it gives me some peace.
Areva. Thank you.
I feel that okay, someone is there from over there, from back home, someone is doing that and showcasing that. So I am very much glad that you are showcasing that side.
Thank you. And I'll tell you what, this has been the best thing that anyone has ever said to me lately.
And-
I'll tell you why it means so much to me, because Shahnaz, we both come from different faiths. ठीक है? For two people who are so absorbed in their individual faiths, sometimes it gets very hard to appreciate cross faiths. Okay? But you know what I feel? It's like a pyramid. See, everyone has one destination. God is one ultimate.
True.
Yeah?
True.
The more we are at the surface, there's difference between the two of us. And that's when we'll say, oh, you're wrong, you're right, this, that, da.
Ha.
But as we keep climbing up, that distance keeps reducing, and that's when people start appreciating each other.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a genuinely heartwarming thing that someone from another faith appreciates the bhakti and that part of it.
True.
That's a very, very big thing for me. Trust me. I mean, I think I'm super. You've made my day. Trust. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Because I have been in that kind of household. I've brought up and things and all. I have yesterday also you told me that you are going for Ramayan class. I was like very much impressed. This girl is impressing me every single time. I felt it.
I do Ramayan classes twice a week. I take classes.
Okay, you take.
Yeah, I teach Ramayan. I do Ramayan classes twice a week. I teach children every Sunday. And I'll tell you what, Shahnaz, I feel that it's very important to be connected with the supreme within. For me, spirituality, and why am I so like open about it? And you rightly said, people conceal those things because they don't want to be perceived in that certain manner.
Yeah.
They don't want other people to say, Are, she is sectarian, she is religious, and so on. That's there. Why I choose to do it? Because I feel that's a part of my lifestyle, and I know that there are so many people around who don't know a lot of things.
Yeah.
So if I know something, I should share. I should tell people that, this is our culture, these are our roots, this is why this would happen, and so on. And so at least, if nothing, at least it would give you, 2 cents about your religion and at least on how to be human enough, how to do things and so on. So for me, I was like, I mean, see, if somebody has to judge me, people will anyway judge us. Anyway, it's just, you're on whichever side people have to judge. So might as well they judge me if I'm doing the right thing. So as long as I'm doing the right thing, करना है जज कर लो यार, it's okay. वैसे भी मैं कुछ नहीं भी करूँगी तभी भी जज करना है, तो it's okay. अच्छा करके जज करो, कोई problem.
So the thing is, I have read Ramayana and Mahabharata in 10 plus different perspectives
Wow,
from childhood.
very
I
nice.
learned in my local language,
Yes,
of course, in
yes.
Tamil a lot. Like the big poeters or to people who have their own perspective.
They commentary.
Yeah.
Yes.
So whenever you see that, I'm coming from a very small city from Salem. So
Yes, I
how
will say
you can be so confident and competing here in this market, and I have studied in government schools and colleges and things and all. When it comes to ethics and character, that strong building, I've always said openly that it's because of the stories which I have learned.
Yes.
It's not about the religion, it's not about anything. It's about those stories, what the ethics, the characters hold it on, and you learn and talk about it every time. You will find a different perspective what these characters have done. It's correct. Sometimes it feels like it's correct.
Absolutely.
Based on your age,
Yeah.
based on the situations you have
As you
faced.
grow.
Yeah. So these things I'm pretty much from childhood to till date, I'm able to connect with that. Okay, this is correct, this is what it is. So ethics is something like every person should have when you grow.
I agree.
And these type of stories and spirituality things will build you as a person in terms of any kind of religion, I would say. But as a person, it helped me. So that is the sole point I want to keep it. And I'm glad that you are showcasing. I felt like I had to talk.
I'm
that's
glad.
great.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
That's- Thank you. And so it's 2025.
Yes.
And what is that certain goals you have set for this year? And some of the goals, of course, you would have achieved so far in this year.
See, I'll tell you my I'm not very open with my goals publicly. Okay. The reason I don't share it publicly on platforms, etc., is I'm a very, very, very private person when it comes to these things.
Okay.
I have a vision board, I have my things, I know what I need to do. And the thing is, when I achieve it, that is when I want people to know. Ki yaar ye, this is what I have done, this is what I have achieved, and so on. For me, I'm a silent player.
Okay.
So you'll see me everywhere. You'll do a lot of things, but I draw a lot of inspiration from this guy, Mehmed, the conqueror, Ottoman empires, the guy who conquered Constantinople. Okay. So I love what he used to say, that if my tongue gets to know what my mind is saying, it is a big thing. So so I love playing it small and slow.
Okay.
But overall, I think this year I just want to, my focus is on slowing down in terms of my personal effort and automating as much as possible.
Correct.
Giving it on to my team as much as possible. So building a team, strong structures, systems, etc. in place, and traveling, enjoying my life, etc. This is my thing. I want to go do pilgrimages. I've planned to this year. I want to even have like a friends, girls only holiday and so on. So that's like मुझे chill करना है. अभी इस साल मतलब मेरे को इतना बैठ के, I don't want to spend all those many hours. Now I just want to streamline things and be easy.
That's very good. That's a real time
Yeah.
goal, I guess.
Correct.
That's fair enough. And let's move on to the rapid fire.
Come on, chalo, let's get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the spirit, by the way. So one word that defines BNI for you.
Fortune.
If you could have any celebrity as a podcast guest, who would it be?
See, I really want to have Dhirubhai Ambani.
Okay.
I can't have him because he's obviously passed away.
Yeah.
But then I would have, next person I want to have is Sridhar Vembu, who is the founder of Zoho. Being a startup, India's only startup that is bootstrapped. So for me, the inspiration that he withdraws, how is he operating from a small village? What was his vision? How did he build it up? I would want to have someone like him.
That's great. One digital tool you can't live without.
ChatGPT.
That's nice. Favorite social media platform for businesses?
Instagram.
Strategy or creativity? What comes first for you on content creation?
Strategy.
One thing people assume about you, but it's totally wrong.
I'll say two things. That I am unapproachable. I have an attitude problem.
Okay.
And so that isse baat karenge, she's too straight, too blunt, etc. I am straight, I'm blunt, but I don't have an attitude problem. For me, everyone is the same. It's not that. Second is that I'm quite how do I say this? I'm very strict, and I'm very policy driven. It's indeed, I'm very policy driven and so on. But I am, for me, it's important to be strict with myself and lenient with others. That's what I practice. So like, okay, ठीक है, तुम लोग करो. I will do my things properly, but I'm not going to be heavy on anyone. So I guess, I want people to understand that I'm very approachable. I'm as as you said, you're a girl next door, etc. So I'm genuinely that. So
Yeah, you are super approachable. We were met at the expo. You were having food, and I just asked you to come for the podcast. You immediately said okay. You didn't even ask me anything. Just tell me the date to come. Yeah, I think you are super approachable.
Thank you for validation.
It's not a validation. It's as a thing. I'm just trying to tell to the people that you are super approachable.
Thank you.
And we have a segment in our podcast which is Pass the Mic. So the previous guests have passed a question to you which you have to answer, and you have to ask a question for the next guest.
Done.
Okay. What keeps you going? What is the one thing that keeps you motivated every day? And what would you share with other business owner as your personal success mantra?
So I'll answer the first thing. What keeps me going every day is my spirituality, my connection to God, my belief in bhakti, etc. And my genuine belief that God has sent me to create impact. That keeps me going. So even when I'm dejected and when I'm down and so on, I remind myself I'm not here for this. I'm meant for bigger things. And then I'm like, damn it, I'm a part and parcel of God. I'm the child of God. I have enough strength, enough caliber, courage, etc. I can, whatever I need is all around me. So let me just do it. So that's what keeps me going. And what is the second part of the question?
But mantra for your personal success.
My personal success. So mantra for my personal success is keep your focus right at all times.
Okay.
Don't get too overwhelmed by success. Success will keep coming. Failure will keep coming. Hear and say will keep coming. Let nothing affect you. If you have to go, you have to just go, get there. पहुंच जाओ, फिर आगे सबकी सुन लेना. People will say नहीं मत करो, ये मत करो, वो मत करो. अरे भाड़ में जाओ. जाने दो. I'll get there and listen to everyone. But first let me get there.
That's a very good way of saying, I guess.
And
So-
the question that I have for the other person. Okay. So I would say, what is your biggest fear?
What is your
Biggest fear. So the next podcast, whoever is listening to me, you have to answer what's your biggest fear.
That's great. So here we are at the end phase of this podcast, and so thank you so much for all those your career journey and BNI experiences to share with me, and taking your precious time out of this and coming to my podcast and saying all those words. Of course, it's when it's gonna come out, it will help a lot of people.
Thank
Who are gonna start their career or start their business journey. Of course, it's gonna help a lot of people. I'm very glad you made it today.
Thank you so much, Shehnaz. I had a wonderful time coming on your podcast and sharing all of those wonderful things. And I hope and wish and pray that may you grow leaps and bounds, and may this, all that you're doing may actually quadruple in terms of results and come back to you very soon. Yeah, inshallah.
Thank you so much.